Not everything left behind by our ancient ancestors is easy to understand. Archaeologists can explain some of what earlier civilizations built, but certainly not all of it. In many instances, the artifacts and mysteries passed down from those who lived long before us are so intricate and baffling, they verge on the inexplicable, and it's those very mysteries that we'll be exploring in this video. Trust us, what you're about to see will blow your mind. Let's start off this countdown with number 15, the Split Stone of Nara. In Japan's Nara prefecture, not far from the village of Yagyu, there is a massive boulder cleanly sliced in two, as you can see here. Locals call it the Ito Siki. According to legend, it was cut by the famed samurai Yagyu Munenori, better known by his monastic name Sekishosai. He was the founder of Yagyu Shinkeji-ryu, a style of swordsmanship, and the ruler of Yagyu village. He was real, but there's no proof he ever used this stone for sword practice. The legend even claims he split it during a duel with a winged long-nosed goblin called a tengu, which tells you all you need to know about the story's credibility. Still, the stone is sliced so cleanly that calling it a natural break feels like a stretch. Scientists claim weathering caused it, but many who've seen it in person aren't buying it. Whether it's the result of Mother Nature, myth, or a forgotten ritual, the truth and reality behind the boulder's strange split remain completely unanswered. Number 14. The Leo Petroglyphs. Long before Europeans arrived in North America, the land was home to thriving indigenous civilizations. Most of their cultures and traditions have been studied and documented, but some, like the Leo Petroglyphs in Ray, Ohio, still defy explanation. These sandstone carvings were made roughly 1,000 years ago, but no one knows by whom. The site features around 40 distinct carvings of animals, birds, fish, and humanoid stick figures. Among the most curious is a horned human-like figure, which might point to spiritual or paranormal beliefs. The carvings are located near the mouth of a rock shelter that opens into a natural gorge, offering a perfect spot for early humans to gather or even settle. Some experts believe the carvings were made by the Fort ancient culture, but that theory remains unconfirmed due to a lack of supporting evidence. Archaeologists have tried for decades to piece together the story behind these symbols, but so far, the answers remain out of reach. The meaning behind the petroglyphs is still a mystery. Number 13. The Lost Mayan Lintel. Way back in 773 AD, the Maya carved an intricately detailed stone lintel, an artifact we only know about because explorer Dana Lamb photographed it in 1950 at a site called Laxtunik. Unfortunately, he didn't record exactly where he saw it. All we know is that it was somewhere near the Mexico-Guatemala border. Based on the photo, it looks like looters had already pried the lintel from its original place but abandoned it because it was too heavy to haul away. Years later, in 1968, it showed up in a private collection in Falmouth, Maine. By 1982, it had been moved to a storage facility in Zurich, Switzerland. After that, it vanished. Experts believe the piece may have been the work of a sculptor named Mayu, who also made a similar lintel now housed in the Kimball Art Museum in Texas. But without examining the missing piece directly, that link can't be confirmed. If it still exists, which we don't know, it could be anywhere on the planet. Number 12. Volcano-shaped pyramid in Peru. There's no debate about whether Peru's El Volcán pyramid is artificial. It is. What makes it baffling is its design. The structure gets its name from the crater-like indentation at its peak, which makes it look just like a volcano. But here's the problem. There are no volcanoes anywhere near the area, and the people who built it over 2,000 years ago wouldn't have known what one looked like. Yet somehow they built one down to the details. A collapsed staircase leads to a central hearth set into a mud-plastered floor deep inside the crater. Burnt material found at the site confirms that fires were lit here regularly, the most recent around the 1500s. That suggests the structure was in use for centuries. During the 16th century, 4 total solar eclipses would have been visible from the region, so some suspect the pyramid had ceremonial links to celestial events. Still, that doesn't explain what went on inside the structure for nearly 800 years before that. Its true purpose is still unknown. What do you think? Why did they build it? Number 11. The Petroglyphs of Valle del Encanto. In Chile's Valle del Encanto, or Enchanted Valley, there's an extraordinary collection of ancient rock art etched into stone. The petroglyphs and pictographs are widely attributed to the El Mole culture, which thrived over 2,300 years ago. Still, some researchers believe the artwork may be much older. There's reason to believe that Paleo-American groups with elongated skulls lived in this region nearly 13,000 years ago, and they may have been the true creators. Most of the carvings are humanoid in shape, but some are thought to represent Viracocha, a major god in Inca mythology and the divine creator of all things. However, the most debated image is one of a figure with an oversized head and huge eyes, resembling the classic image of a gray alien. While that's not proof of extraterrestrial contact, the figure's appearance is strange enough to keep the conversation alive. Whether spiritual symbol or misinterpreted myth, the petroglyphs of Valle del Encanto still carry meaning we haven't fully cracked, and maybe we never will. Number 10. Owl Pipes of Ohio. Ohio's ancient burial grounds are so numerous that archaeologists now refer to entire sections as Mound City. Though Tremper Mound isn't technically part of it, it lies nearby, and both locations have produced incredibly rare finds, owl pipes. These elaborate smoking devices, made over 2,000 years ago by Native American artisans, have never been found anywhere else in the world. While carvings of raccoons, toads, and other wildlife appear on other pipes from the region, the owls are the most unusual. Some researchers believe these pipes once belonged to tribal shamans and that the animal designs represented their personal spirit guides. That might explain why every carved creature is turned toward the smoker rather than facing outward. The owl pipes were made from a unique flint clay found only in northern Illinois, while other nearby pipes were carved from catlinite sourced in Michigan. This suggests they weren't created locally, raising the question of whether there was a continent-wide pipe trade system in prehistoric America, or if people simply traveled farther than we thought. Only God knows. Number 9. Marble Sarcophagus of Yaroslav the Wise. Over the years, many ancient sarcophagi have been discovered across Ukraine, but none as important as the one belonging to Prince Yaroslav the Wise and his queen Ingigerd. During his rule, he founded Ukraine's first major library inside Kiev's St. Sophia Cathedral, where his sarcophagus still rests today. The cathedral itself was built under his direction in the 11th century and has endured many attacks across centuries. However, the prince's body no longer lies inside. Most historians believe it was stolen during World War II, though by whom and for what reason remains unknown. Unlike other parts of the cathedral that were damaged or rebuilt over the years, the sarcophagus was never moved or altered. Restoration work on the cathedral took place throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, but the stone tomb remained untouched. Today, the cathedral no longer functions as a church. It now operates as a museum dedicated to Ukrainian religious heritage. It's a monument to one of its greatest rulers, whose resting place is still missing. Number 8. Quartz burial crystals of Britain. A recent study may have found new insights into how Britain's early farming communities honored the dead. Around 6,000 years ago, people in what's now Herefordshire left rare rock crystals at burial sites, clear, hexagonal chunks of quartz that shimmered like glass. These weren't local stones. In fact, the only known natural source of such quartz in the British Isles is in Wales. That means someone went to great lengths to collect and transport the crystals, sometimes hauling them across hundreds of miles. Amazingly, once the crystals reached the site, they were deliberately shattered and scattered around timber halls and burial mounds, specifically at a complex on Dorstone Hill. This act wasn't random. It appears to have held symbolic importance, maybe tied to ritual beliefs. The site itself dates to the early Neolithic era, when agriculture first took hold in Britain. All right, now let's talk about something scary. Number 7. Stone Age snakeheads of Kamyana Mohyla. In 2016, 2 bizarre stone sculptures were unearthed at Kamyana Mohyla, near Terpinya, Ukraine. Each resembled a serpent's head, and both were found beside animal bones, flint tools, and prehistoric fireplaces. Radiocarbon tests dated the site between 8,300 and 7,400 BCE. These carvings came from Mesolithic hunter-gatherers, people who made tools from bone and flint, hunted with bows and arrows, and rarely left behind anything ceremonial. Yet here they were, one snake with rhombic eyes, carved knobs, and a wide mouth etched into yellow sandstone, its nose chipped during excavation. The other, smaller one fit in the palm and had deep eye sockets, a round base, and a clear neck. Researchers think both had ritual purposes, likely used in ceremonies whose meaning is now lost. No texts or myths, just two stone snakes, shaped with intention. Nearby, a fish-like carving emerged from the Kamayana Mohila mound, but the serpent heads remain unique. Their message is buried with the hands that made them. Number 6. Denmark sits. Face pots. In Denmark, archaeologists have uncovered unusual clay vessels found nowhere else in the world. Locals call them face pots, though eye pots might be more fitting. They usually lack detailed features, showing only eyes, eyebrows, and occasionally a nose. These small vessels follow the belling style, which dates back roughly 5,000 years. Their function is unclear, but many scholars believe they represent a Stone Age mother goddess. The theory hasn't been proven. Most have been discovered near passage graves, suggesting they may have had some funerary or ritualistic use. No examples have been found in Denmark that predate the construction of known tombs, which implies that the pots and the burial structures emerged around the same time. When passage grave construction ceased, the creation of face pots also stopped. That's led many to conclude the two were directly connected. So far, face pots have been recovered in places like Svinep, Mølholm, and Kindertofte, but they're still a mystery. Number 5. The hidden monument at Laona. Cyprus is home to Laona, a well-known ancient burial mound that has stood for centuries. But back in 2022, archaeologists discovered something unexpected buried beneath it, an even older structure. Beneath the mound lies a massive stone rampart and staircase, long hidden from view. The monument is believed to date back roughly 2,400 years to the Cypro-classical period and would have required a skilled workforce, specialized knowledge, and organized planning to construct. The rampart itself spans over 500 feet and encloses a space of more than 5,200 square feet. Despite its impressive scale, no one knows who built it or why it was never finished. Its incomplete state hints that the project may have been abandoned mid-construction. Instead of being used, the unfinished structure was buried under the later tumulus. Whether the builders ran out of resources, lost political support, or simply gave up remains unknown. What is clear is that Laona was the final resting place of an unfinished vision from a forgotten time. Number 4. The statue of clairvoyance in Dazu. The Dazu rock carvings in China are a monumental record of religious art, most dating to the Song dynasty about 1,000 years ago. Among the most puzzling sections is Shimen Mountain, where 16 carving groups depict Buddhist and Taoist figures. But one particular sculpture defies conventional interpretation. The statue of clairvoyance features a humanoid figure with an unusual face holding a long cylindrical object, one that resembles a telescope or even a telephone receiver. He stands beside the Jade Emperor and is said to represent someone with the ability to see and hear beyond normal human limits. The figure is dressed like a high-ranking general, implying noble status. His object might be symbolic, but symbolic of what nobody knows. Some suggest it's a metaphoric portrayal of extrasensory perception. Others believe it might reflect lost or unknown technology. Despite its clear artistic detail, the figure's origin and meaning remain a mystery in the broader context of Chinese spiritual iconography. Number 3. The Last Days of Mes Aynak. Translating to small copper source, Mes Aynak in eastern Afghanistan reveals far more than its name suggests. At the surface level, the site contains an ancient Buddhist complex, complete with monasteries and over 400 statues. Beneath that, archaeologists have identified something even older, what might be the world's earliest copper smelting facility, dating back 5,000 years. No one knows who these early metalworkers were, or how they possessed such advanced techniques during the Bronze Age. The site should be a treasure trove for understanding early industrial history, but it faces a serious risk from modern development. A massive copper mining project threatens to destroy the area, including the Buddhist relics and the much older layer beneath them. Though efforts have been made to slow or redirect the mining, heavy equipment has already crept into the ancient zones. Archaeologists are now racing against time, hoping to salvage what they can before the past is crushed beneath bulldozers. Once it's gone, the knowledge buried there will be impossible to recover. Number 2. The Tully Papyrus. The Tully Papyrus has stirred controversy for decades. Supposedly a transcript of a lost Egyptian document dating to the reign of Thutmose III around 3,400 years ago, it's filled with references to fiery circles and discs of flame in the sky. That's enough for some to claim it's evidence of ancient contact with otherworldly beings. The papyrus gets its name from Alberto Tully, a former director of the Vatican Museum, who claimed to have copied it in 1953 after seeing the original in an antique shop in Cairo. Now the problem is that Tully never purchased the papyrus and based his transcription on a single viewing. Worse still, he wrote it using an improvised shorthand version of hieratic that he devised himself. The original was never verified and is now considered lost, if it ever existed at all. Today, the only copy that survives is Tully's handwritten version and his translation. Most Egyptologists dismiss the document as a hoax. Number 1. Skeleton of an old painted man in Serbia. Let's end this journey with a strange discovery that was made in Serbia in 2022. Inside 2 large burial mounds, archaeologists found the skeletons of unusually tall men. These remains, estimated to be around 5,000 years old, likely came from migrants who had traveled from Ukraine or Russia. What made them stand out wasn't just their height, averaging 6 feet tall, but the fact that their bones were painted entirely with red ochre. This suggests the bodies were left to decompose, then revisited and painted long after death. There's a 100-year gap between the construction of the first burial mound and the second, which adds to the mystery. Clearly, these men held importance, but the lack of grave goods suggests they weren't kings or leaders. So why all the effort? Were they respected for their height, or did they serve a spiritual or ceremonial role in their community? Nobody knows. But it's clear that whoever they were, someone went through serious trouble to ensure their remains were remembered. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.